What's going on, everyone? I'm John from 16 Views, and today I want to talk about shooting video on your smartphone. There's no doubt that smartphone cameras have evolved so much from where they were just 5 or 6 years ago. You have very professional looking cameras that fit in your pocket. Like, you can do some really professional stuff with these cameras, but of course there's always a way to improve. So in this video I just want to talk about some things that you can do to spice up your filmmaking and make your smartphone footage just look a little better. But first, let's roll that intro. Okay, so you could be a starting YouTuber like me who just can't afford a camera, or maybe you're a parent who just wants to shoot slightly better home videos, or you're a student who needs to make a video for a school project and you just want to make your footage look a little better so you get that A. It doesn't matter. There's some novice tips in this video, there's some more professional tips in this video, there's a little bit for everyone. The first thing you gotta remember is your phone is not a DSLR or mirrorless camera. The sensors on your phone are substantially smaller than an APS-C or a Micro Four Thirds or a full frame sensor that you're gonna see on more professional, more expensive cameras. You cannot compare the looks Peter McKinnon is getting on his R5 or Daniel Scheffer is getting on his A7S III to the footage you're getting on your iPhone. It's just physics. You simply will not be able to get the stuff people get on DSLR mirrorless cameras on your phone. Don't compare your smartphone footage to other people's professional multi-$1,000 camera footage, because comparison kills. Just know that though those shots look cool, they were shot on big professional cameras that you cannot match with a smartphone camera. So just lower your expectations a little bit. Don't compare yourself to peak professionals. Now, let's get into the real tips. This one is kind of a given, but I'm just gonna say it. Use the cameras on the back of your phone. They have bigger sensors. You're able to have higher ISO. You're most likely gonna have different focal lengths. The back cameras are just gonna be better. Another reason you wanna use them is if you're using your selfie camera and maybe doing a vlogging sort of thing, you're just automatically kind of gonna look at the screen. And so if you're just looking at the middle of the screen and talking, it just looks kind of weird. So if you're using the back cameras, it just looks better because you have nowhere else to look but the camera. Because if I'm looking at myself, kind of like where I'm looking right now, it just looks weird, right? So just use the back of your phone so you have nowhere else to look, you're getting better quality, and it's not kind of like weird because you're like looking mostly at the camera, but not really. So just use the back cameras. The next thing you want to do is download an app that gives you full manual control over your camera. Things like ISO, shutter speed, white balance, focus, all that kind of stuff. I use the Moment app, Moment, like smartphone lens company, they have an app, it's pretty good. But I know there's also a ton of other apps like the Filmic Pro. I think that's like the biggest, most popular professional one, but there's also like free apps, so just get an app that gives you manual control. The next thing you want to do is, with this app that's giving you full manual control, keep the ISO in your video as low as possible. Smartphone cameras, they have small sensors, right? And small sensors cannot handle high ISO. So you're gonna begin seeing grain at something as low as 400 or 500 ISO. And that just looks nasty. Like, I think that's really the biggest difference between smartphone and professional cameras is smartphone cameras just fall apart in low light. Whereas bigger cameras, how you can get lenses with like fast apertures and let in more light, and they can also handle higher ISO values because of bigger sensors. Keep the ISO on your phone low, or else it's just gonna look bad. And the next tip goes along with keeping your ISO low. Shoot in a lot of light. Phone cameras look really, really good when you have a good amount of light. I have my softbox right here. I have a red key light. I have a little bit of light coming through the windows. Smartphone cameras look good when there's a lot of light. So shoot in light. If you don't have, a softbox or anything like that, just shoot in front of a window. Might be a little harsh, so maybe just like put like a sheet over it to soften the light, but just shoot outside, shoot in your sunroom, shoot in front of a window with a sheet over the window to soften that light. Just do anything to keep that ISO value low and keep that footage looking great because it's a good amount of light. Also, like teens, this, like your eyes look really good when there's a lot of light. Like when snapping people, if you want to look good, get in a lot of light, your eyes like really pop. And that's kind of the case in just regular smartphone. Another thing to keep in mind is utilize the different focal lengths you have available. Every phone released in the past like 3 or 4 years has at least 2 lenses, a main camera and then either a telephoto or an ultra wide, a macro, something like that. And right now I'm shooting on the iPhone 11 Pro. So I have my main camera, I have my ultra wide, and then I have my telephoto. And right now I'm actually shooting on the telephoto lens because I like the more 50mm look, a tiny bit more compressed, because 35 to 50 is really like the best focal length for like people, if you get what I mean. So use that to your advantage. Use your main camera when you need your basic medium shot, or you may be shooting in low light, so you need the slightly bigger sensor that can handle slightly high ISO. Use that telephoto when you want to get more of a close-up, get that compression from the background. And bring out that ultra wide when you want to establish your shot, establish your setting, because it gets a very wide field of view. You can see the landscape that you're establishing. Just be careful and know that the sensors on your telephoto and ultra wide are going to be smaller than on the main camera, so if you get into a lower light situation, you want to probably go for your main camera because it has the biggest sensor, usually the widest aperture, and will be able to handle the highest ISO and keep that grain out of the image. This next tip is really a little more high level, so novices or like, just people shooting home videos, like you won't really care about this one. But the first is, if your manual app allows it, shoot in a log profile. The Moment app gives you a flat and a log profile, and this will not only give you a little extra dynamic range, but it'll also make your footage easier to color grade in post, because most LUTs that you have are usually designed more for a flat or log type of footage than just a regular generic footage. And the second thing is, not all phones allow this. This is a hardware thing, but some phones do allow you to shoot in 10-bit. Shoot in 10-bit. This is giving you substantially more color that your phone is capturing in the video. The file sizes are going to be way bigger. But if you're able to shoot in 10-bit and a log profile, you're going to be able to edit and color grade your footage really, really nicely and get a very like cinematic look. And the very last thing I have is, you try to use an external mic. I mean, I know you've probably heard this before, but audio is just as important as video. If you have good video quality but your audio sucks, like people aren't going to want to watch it. I just had to re-record this video actually, because I was accidentally shooting on the back mic instead of the front mic, so it like sounded all muffled and gross. If you are able to, get a wireless mic or plug in a mic that you already have just to improve that audio quality a little more, because this will make your footage just seem a little more professional because the audio is better. I know there's a ton of wireless lav mics like the Wireless Rode Go or something like that, that you can just connect over Bluetooth and use that as your mic and just pin it to your collar. Audio is very important. Never underestimate audio. Okay, I think that's it for me. I think those are all the tips that I thought of. I hope there was at least one that you didn't know and that you can use in your next filmmaking endeavor. If you did enjoy the video, if you did like it, if you learned something, it would mean so much to me if you gave the video a like and subscribed. It really would mean a lot. Other than that, I'm John from 16 Views. See ya.